graduated, elevated. Now it's my time to shine, yeah, let's go. Graduated, elevated. Now it's my time to shine, yeah, let's go. Major moves, power moves.
Welcome to Ph.D. Hard Talk. I am your host, Noma Mguni. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest. Dr. Bongani Nkala, could you please introduce yourself, your research, what you're doing, and hopefully we can crack on.
Hello, this is Dr. Bongani Nkala, live in South Africa. I am a lecturer at the University of Fort Hare and also another lecturer at the University of Eduvos. So my research is more into African traditional medicine because we are quite fascinated about the use of medicines to treat and manage diabetes. That's my area of research, really. Yeah, I teach the undergrads on in medical microbiology and other science-related modules. I'm passionate about teaching.
Excellent. Let's start with the African medicine because I found that really intriguing. And I spoke to Dr. Rama, who's from Limpopo, and she deals with cancer, but using African medicine.
Yes.
And I found that really, really interesting. And I thought, you know what, let me have a chat with Dr. Bongani and see where he is, what his research is about, because I think there could be a collab with you and her.
Yes.
So could you please take me through what, in terms of the definition of African medicine and what it is and how it works?
Okay, like for instance, the African traditional medicine is just the plants basically that we harvest from the nature. And our people, about 80% of South Africans, they use African medicine for treatment and management of illnesses. I think you remember during COVID, there is a plant that dominated the news. It's called umhlonyane. That has been used over generation where people, if you have cold, you just boil that and drink it like as tonic. It's actually, or you can steam also utilizing other medicine as well. So it's been used over the generation. And one of the key things that we love this particular area of research is that there are lesser side effects as opposed to the drugs that we normally take. So that's why I strongly believe the solution for the current diseases is based on African traditional medicine.
Okay, so you've mentioned Uhlongwane. So how does that work and what plant is it? If I was to, and is it only found in South Africa?
Mainly it's found in South Africa, this particular plant. We just take it, it's more of like a bush, a kind of a tree that you harvest and you boil the leaves, then you can drink it as tonic. So it actually helps with the upper respiratory challenges.
Amazing. So in terms of your work and the educational aspect, which you've already mentioned that you do enjoy teaching. So we'll take Uhlongwane. How does one market that to the world and say, actually, hold on, wait a minute, you don't need antibiotics. This is a trialed method from the 1900s. It has worked. There's no side effects. How does one take that mantle?
Okay, with regards to this particular area of research, one need to make sure first it goes through a toxicological testing to make sure it's cleared. It doesn't have any toxic effects. There are quite a number of studies that are currently happening with regards to that. Once that has been cleared, then the owners of that particular research can take it to the market, but must be registered with the council here in South Africa. Then you can package it, whether as tablets. We see a number of people put as a tablet these particular medicines, or as a tonic, market that and sell it out. Yeah. It's a long process, though, to get it to the product phase.
I'm thinking, does that link into the FDA then, in terms of checks?
If you're gonna, there is a body that regulates that in the country that makes sure if you're gonna have it as a medicine, it has to follow all the criteria. For instance, you must make sure first it's cleared in terms of toxicity studies, and also you need to make sure that if you conduct the clinical trials, because there are two phases, you put it to animals and see if they're not dying of that particular medication. Then you take it to humans. If you pass those, then you can go into registration if it's going to be utilized as a medicine. Yeah.
Amazing. We'll come back to those points. Let's go back to your PhD then. So Could you please take me through your application journey in regards to why you applied and also in regards to how you identified your research gap?
Mm, mm. There was a call back, I think in 2014, there was a call because I did almost my first attempt of the PhD. It took me 3 years. Then I didn't achieve a PhD for 3 years because there was a misunderstanding with my supervisor. But in terms of how did I apply for it, there was a call coming from NRF, National Research Foundation. They were looking for people to embark on a particular PhD. And it was talking to things like I love the most, which is looking at the genetical level, but still traditional medicine to see if you're having mutation or you're having cancer cells, what causes those? Look at the genetical material of that. I found it very fascinating. Then you just apply to the pool. Then I was placed into an institution. Thereafter, I got a supervisor through that system. It's like you don't choose supervisor in that system. I got a supervisor from the institution, and I have to identify someone from the university as well, because there were 2 supervisors that were involved. Yeah, so it was a very intense application process because we needed to have partners globally. I think I needed three references internationally. Fortunately, due to my traveling when I was doing my master's degree, I've managed to have partners in Germany, in USA, and some in India as well. So they backed me up during that application process. Yeah.
Amazing. And then you got the place.
Yes.
So take me through your research proposal, because I don't think you've mentioned in regards to identifying the research gap.
Yes.
How did you identify the research gap? Because applying and getting through that process is different from identifying a research gap for you to then commence with your research. How did you get there?
All right. Once I was inside, because like the concept document that I developed when I was applying, it was still talking about African traditional medicine, but it was clear when I was inside the university that there's still a challenge with regards to safety and efficacy of particular medicine. But my area of focus was more of looking at the anti-mutagenicity of particular plants. Thereafter, this way I pointed out that there are genetical problems that are happening in the cells. We don't know much of information about that one, but we know that plants can reverse that particular challenges. We had about 21 plants that we heard in our bag. Then we have to screen all of those 21 plants until we find about only top 5 that were active in all the assays that we were doing.
Amazing. So then we've identified, the top 5. And in regards to the challenges that you face with your supervisor, you said it wasn't a beautiful arrangement. So what led to the divorce then? Because this sounds fascinating in terms of the research. How did we get there?
I think at some point, because when you're doing a research, a PhD work, it has to be groundbreaking and it has to work. It's unlike a master's where you're trying things out. It must give you the results. But even though we found 5 plants, they were active in most of the assays, but they're not giving us the results that we wanted. So we wanted to change the topic. Said, can we change the topic and do something else? No, the supervisor was adamant that no, it means we are not doing it right. And it was 2 of us. I was not even alone. Then we opted to resign because now we can see it's 3 years. We don't have a degree and we don't get the results that are convincing that we can be proud and present there and take them to the world. Then he said, no, we're not winning. There is no win-win situation at this point. We have to opt to resign. Because it was beautiful. We had money. We could travel overseas, but the research was not giving us the outcome that we anticipated. Then we had to file for divorce.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So do you think, in your opinion, you could file for divorce because you have the experience and expertise, and also you are a mature student? Because if it was me, I think I would stay and continue. I mean, I've got a lifestyle. I get to travel, eat food I can't pronounce. I'm taking selfies in a plane. Like, that's the life. Why am I resigning? Why are we divorcing? I want to stay there. So could you take me through that, just in terms of understanding?
I think what is important, Noma, here is that a PhD is a project. A
Mhm.
project got a time frame, you've got the starting and the ending. If you know, for
Exactly.
instance, in South Africa, you have to do a PhD within 3 years if you're full time. So
Mhm.
if you take it 4 years, it at least you must know that you're going to the fourth year, but you've got
Mhm.
results that are convincing. Yes, I
Yeah.
think it helped a lot to being exposed because I've worked before, knowing that
Mhm.
no, this thing is not working out. We call all supervisors. The other one was agreeing with us who was from the university because universities are very strict. If you are doing a
Mhm.
PhD, you need to graduate within this given period. We are not
Mhm.
heading that direction. We request, can we change the topic or something? He was like, no, it means you guys are not doing enough or doing a good job. That's why it lets you know I am filing for a divorce. This thing is not working out for me.
So that I'm done. That's it. Pay
I
me
can't
my
be a student
money. I'm
forever.
going. No, I love that. And in terms of feedback, then, did you share any feedback? Because I would like to think there'll be another group that will be coming back
Mm.
in terms of the supervisor. Were you able to articulate that and leave on a positive note, or were there individuals who were disgruntled?
We were disgruntled because we had to even go and report this matter to the National Research Foundation because they felt that they need to know what's going on. Because if
Mhm.
students are not graduating, they are investing money in the students. So if people are not finishing their qualification, it was a concern for us. No, it was not a, this was not the divorce was not a great one, I must say. It ended
Mhm.
terribly because we can't even see eye to eye way after we have left. Yeah. That's why I thought that I have to release a video just to give people some ideas that it's very important to investigate, uh, research your supervisor, find out how many people have they graduated, which
Mm.
gives us an idea that this particular individual, they are concerned about the outcome of people. Because PhD, you have a life, 3 years, it's quite long. You need to leave after that. You need to start living and people seeing that. Because you leave home, you want to do PhD, then you want to finish
Mm.
it. What do you want to say at home? Come 3 years later, not a PhD.
Still there, no movement. I think I've got a question because
Yes.
I know that you've gone on YouTube and you've shared this information, and you were quite clear and concise, so there's no confusion.
Sure.
Um, but in terms of that confidence, because most of us, we are terrified because we
Mm.
know that people do get blacklisted.
Yes.
And we know that in terms of academia, it's quite a small community. It doesn't matter if
Yes.
you're in India, it doesn't matter if you're in China, because we all meet at conferences and we have food, which is my favorite part, and we have drinks, and we have that dialogue, and things come out, and then people have a perception, and
Mm.
they will stereotype and put you in a box. So, in terms of that decision, then, reflecting now, which is 2023. Do you think
Mm.
it was the wisest, and do you feel like you've been blacklisted, or are people applauding you?
For me, I think it was a good decision to take, and I didn't only file for a divorce. I even went on to indicate the people that are funding us, this is the
Mm.
situation, and I seek for their advice because at the end of the day, if you don't finish your degree, you must pay back the money. That is why now I had to enroll with University of KwaZulu-Natal 3 years later, where I didn't have any funding, so that I can be able to finish the goal that I've anticipated, something that I came here to do. For me, I think at that point in time, I was not worried too much about what the community would say, science community. I was more concerned about me getting the work done at the end of the day. But if you read about my work, you'll know that I have focus. I do produce work. People that have worked with me, they know that this guy can deliver. So if I
Mm.
can't show results after 3 years, it worries me. I'm glad
Mm.
that I'm a strong guy. I didn't go through mental illnesses or depression. I soldier on and I said I'm gonna go for this, and I want to make sure that the world knows about this. And I'm currently writing a book. One of the chapters about my PhD.
Oh, I can't wait to read that book then. Please do share so that we can be in the loop. I
No,
mean, I have to
definitely.
commend you on the fact that you were able to share and articulate, and at the same time, I don't think it came out in a negative light, the information that you did share. So I do commend you on that, because sometimes when we're a bit bitter, it does come out, and it puts people off to say, oh no,
True.
we won't go through that path. So I have to commend you on the positivity of the information that you did share on your YouTube channel. So going to your YouTube channel then, what is the aim of your YouTube channel?
Okay, one of the key things that I love the most is to educate, inspire, and motivate. So I've noticed that young people are struggling to get the job.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've picked up, they lack soft skills. They lack to package themselves. They also lack in terms of how to go, what are the things that industries are looking for? What kind of questions they might ask them, and how to prepare a simple thing, a CV and covering letter, and how to look for jobs. So ideally, I want to get to that level where I have interactive sessions on my YouTube channel. I engage, because you can see now it's very few videos that I have them there, but I want to at least post once a month and invite other speakers, because I do that in the way where I'm working at Eduvos. I invite guest speakers to address different concepts, things like HR. How do you get people recruited in the company? What are the policies that you must be aware of? What are the things that you must prepare yourself for the world of work? So though some people don't want to study, they want to work. They want to study further, not to work immediately. So I also guide them. You don't just go to choose a career because you're passionate about it. What is important, you must look at the gaps. What are the jobs would be relevant in the next 10 to 20 years from now? And then you must maneuver up within that with what we have currently. So that's my ultimate goal with my channel.
I love that. And I think I've had two previous speakers who've mentioned that, there are high unemployment levels in South Africa currently.
It's terrible.
But then my question is, I get that we're saying it's young people. Do you think the fault really lies with the government and the policy writers, and also the institutions in terms of educational institutions?
Yeah, I think there are quite a number of role players who are leading to that. Obviously, the government doesn't create jobs, and the government currently not even offer opportunity for. We all know the people who create jobs are entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs, if not being supported by the government, they can't create jobs, because those are the people who create jobs actually. So, yeah, the other thing that I am the member of South African Ph.D. Association, where we tackle these issues. One of them we're talking about is education system. If you compare a kid from China and South Africa, a kid from China in primary levels, they all know how coding is. What is coding? They know how to utilize the computer at a very young age. They are teaching them skills that are required in the near future. We call them 4 Rs. In South Africa, we don't have that. So it's based on the education system that is failing these young men and women.
Do you think it links back to 1994, the fact that we weren't able to articulate ourselves properly when we're set on the board table to say, actually, okay, it's great, we are free, but, this is what we need, because these gaps were created previously in terms of, we don't want to really go into history, but do you think we're still failing ourselves in terms of current government? Because I hear what you're saying. I'm a young person, so and I know the challenges of being young. Maybe I'm not that young,
Yes.
but I'm still relatively there. But I'm still close. I'm not that close. But looking at the current situ and the work that you're doing, and thank you very much for your work. But how do we then translate that to the third generation? Because if you focus on the current 20 to 30-year-old group, right? How do we target the second and third generation? Because that's where my focus is in regards to, if we educate this group, are they going to be selfish and keep it to themselves? Because that's why we're in the predicament that we're in. Some have knowledge and they've been selfish and they haven't shared it. How do we get to the second and third generation?
Talking about what you said earlier on, where you reflected on the decisions made when we were free in 1994. In the Freedom Charter, it does talk about education. I guess that the policymakers didn't translate that into action. And you'll be surprised that young people, they're aware of that. And you always see them that say, I don't want to go to varsity. I want to start a business. But thereafter, what we do in our platforms through webinars, we teach them it's important to have a business. However, you're required to have a bit of a degree, a qualification in that respect, so that you can have a bit of background. Definitely, the system of education high level has to change, because like currently, we are teaching people to go and look for jobs. we need to change that scenario. We need to look for people that will be creating jobs for themselves and employ other people. If we have that, then we're going to play a huge role in the development of this country, because we can't afford to create people who are looking for jobs and the jobs are dry. But we need to have people who can start up their companies so they can employ those individuals who are not entrepreneurs. So that's the target that we want to penetrate through in the young minds, because that's why we have these different platforms to equip and educate them. That get education is good, however, think business. In our Eduvos first year, we have a module that is called bioentrepreneurship, where our students are taught the skills. They make a product by upscaling. I've got quite a few products that also I buy from them and I sell it to my friends. I think in November we are having a market for those. Then some of those projects they continue to the third year. So we hope that they can take it further and open the cooperatives. That's our mission, really.
Wow, that sounds amazing. But I've got a bit of a curveball. I understand, in terms of startups and businesses, but there's also a trend that we've all picked up on globally, and that's called the soft life.
Yes.
Now, to me, it's problematic
Yeah,
because
it
I
is.
didn't know what the soft life was until someone explained it to me. And then I had a lot of questions, and I was like, I don't agree with this concept. I don't like it. But why is it so global now?
Mm.
And linking into businesses and starting up, there's also a trend, in terms of, I'm going into agriculture. I'm going to have 10 chickens. I'm going to have cabbages. I'm going to do this. I've got my land, I'm doing all of this stuff. But who's buying if people are unemployed? What are your thoughts on that? Because it links back to the soft life, which is I don't want to work and I just want to receive and go to Dubai. Sorry.
I think, Noma, such platforms like yours, I think they play a pivotal role, because I've watched a number of videos there to do interview and engage before I came to this one. We need more of these engagements. We were talking amongst my friends that we need to sit down and put a proposal and have a TV show that targeting young people, because we see a lot of TV shows that are like, no, what are we seeing here? What the message that I'm taking home? Because it's all about entertainment. Because like even on TikTok, people are all about making jokes. I'm there to educate. That's my passion. Talking about soft life, yeah, we have a lot of those lazy people. They prefer to sit and do absolutely nothing of production. They just want money and live, but that's not a sustainable lifestyle. We go strongly on those ones, because that also linked with the gender-based violence. Because if you are dating somebody, you can't provide anything, you are more likely to be abused either physically or psychologically. So we try to preach that people need to go to work and create something for yourself. Talking about people, yes, the corporates and into agriculture. Let's make an example. If I open a production company, I'll employ at least 10 or 20 young people. Then if I want to grow that in other provinces, I can increase that platform. Employing about 20 people, you are changing about almost 100 families will be fed in that particular employment. That's a huge role that you are playing in there. So then you're going to create people that can buy your products.
I get that, but I'm still looking at the statistics.
Yes.
Pre-COVID, women were in less employment.
True.
Post-COVID, that's based on the stats SA website, by the way, just before someone comes for me. After post-COVID, women are in less employment than ever, and the youth is actually drastic. And I understand that we're saying, yes, if I have my plot of land, I'm going to plant my vegetables and people are going to buy. But then the question then becomes, who is buying? Because we're not selling it internationally. I'm just a young person who's just, really green, and I'm excited and I'm passionate about my work. And, I'm asking this question because I'm sure there's somebody there who's got an idea and they want to sell their chickens, for example, and they know that they will change people's lives. But how do they get the clients, because you do this work, how does that work for the world to understand?
Normally, there is what's something called youth. There is a program that sponsors young people who want to start businesses. But when it comes to also it linked up with market, because depending in terms of where they want to do it in your own environment, they assist them in terms of taking it out to not only think about feeding yourself and your family. How can you reach a bigger market? For instance, someone can be um, harvesting or growing vegetables, then they can sell them to a big retail shops, not necessarily worry about the next door neighbor. If you're having chickens, because chickens, yes, so you can find out that in the area there's no market, because some people, what they tend to do, they open these small startups and they sell the same thing, but no one is buying because there's no money available. But this program, it assists them to point them in the right direction, to assist them access to the market, because sometimes you might have a great business idea, but you have no knowledge about the market. There's a show that comes from UK that I watched a lot that talks about the Dragon's Den, which is very educational. Yeah, I watched that show. I love it a lot. It talks a lot about the key important things we have to have access to the market, because it can be a beautiful product that is going on. You are in a good platform, but if you don't have access to the market, that product won't move in the shelf. Yeah.
No, it doesn't move. And going back to the unemployment, and Dragon's Den is actually a good show. I do watch it. I've seen also on LinkedIn whereby people have WhatsApp groups to say if they're looking for a job, during this one, it's focused maybe in Cape Town or Johannesburg or wherever it is, and you can join in. So I've tried to join in to see that concept, which is a great concept, but I think also it limits people because they only accept certain people from certain backgrounds, which to me is boxing people, because we should be one. We are one country after all. We've all suffered the same essentially. And I've seen also individuals going to traffic lights with the posters. And then I've seen people writing messages where religion links into it on LinkedIn. They'll say, I pray that you will receive a job today and you'll be employed, say amen, and you will get it, right? That's according to your faith and how you walk on water, if that's your religion, or if it's Buddha, that's your religion, etc. What are your thoughts on that in terms of the youth and, having that kind of a spirit?
I think if you make a referral with the WhatsApp groups, I saw something on Facebook that the one on Facebook, at least, is a group which was designed by one of the guys in KZN, but it's open to everyone on Facebook, and it's got about 240 followers. So people, they drop in advertisement there, they share ideas, what are the things to look up for interview, what are the dress code and everything. That seems to be helping people. I think the idea, Noma, where you see young graduates, they put placards to say, I have a degree in biomedicine or in biotechnology or any other degree. I'm looking for a job. I've got X amount of experience. That shows, it's a message that are carrying to show desperation, because the industries are not hiring. Those who are hiring, they literally sitting with a position where they want someone who's experienced. I saw a very beautiful letter that was written by someone on LinkedIn, said they are requesting, urging the employers to open doors for the new graduates, because you can't just get experience from anywhere. So that's the pledge that I always put out there as well. They must open doors for unemployed graduates, because they don't have a skill. Anyone who finished university who have no skills, for you to get a skill, they must open up either internship opportunities with the hope to absorb those graduates, because they need them at the end of the day. And it tend to be a cheap labor compared to the people that are close to retirement. So that's the environment. I guess also the government can play a role in subsidizing the companies to create those opportunities, because it's kind of expensive exercise as well to keep someone for an internship and open more doors. So if government can play an active role there, I think it can change the narrative. But young people are really stressed about unemployment. It's terrible, because now they sit down and ask, why should I go at varsity and study if I don't get a job? If you're educated, if you have no job, then you become a laughing stock where you're coming from. Like, look at this person, is educated, he is not employed, is not better than us. That's the situation that people go under. Yeah, they're very stressed, the young people. Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but I'll go back to those who are about to retire. I mean, I know that it's cheap labor, But, before you retire, because you're not really going to get that much from the state, let's be
Mm,
honest, in terms of your
yes,
pension. So we
yes.
need to look after the elderly as well as because, you don't want to be old and you used to work in this fancy business and now you're sat under a tree and your kids are just giving you a cup of tea. That's depressing. Did you get what I mean? In terms of your mental health. So I think it has to be on both sides, but that's just my
Balance.
opinion,
Mm, mm.
in regards to the elderly.
It might come out wrong.